Afternoon students, today's session is for BSc Nursing second year students. The topic is adrenal tumors. So in today's session we will discuss what are adrenal tumors, what are the risk factors, what are the signs and symptoms of adrenal tumors, how to diagnose these adrenal tumors, and what are the management interventions for the adrenal tumors. So as the name is suggesting, these are tumors of the adrenal gland. So uh, we can define it as at any benign or the malignant neoplasm of the adrenal gland. So these are can be either benign or these can be either malignant, and these are neoplasm. It means the adrenal gland cells have abnormal and the uncontrollable growth. We can classify these tumors into whether they are tumors of the adrenal cortex or the tumors of the adrenal medulla. So in the tumors of the adrenal cortex, we have adrenocortical adenoma, adrenocortical carcinoma, and in the tumors of adrenal medulla, we have neuroblastoma and the pheochromocytoma. So let's discuss about these tumors one by one. Tumors of adrenal cortex. These are adrenocortical adenoma. These are the most common benign tumor of all the adrenal tumors. These are uncommon in patients who are younger than 30 years of age, and these have equal incidence for both the genders, male and the female. 15% of them are only functional, others are non-functional. Functional adrenal tumors will not be the functional adrenal tumors will be producing excessive production or excessive hormones. So most these are less than 2 centimeter in the greatest dimension and less than 50 gram in weight. Now adrenocortical carcinoma, these are very rare, and this is the highly aggressive cancer of the adrenocortical cells which may occur in the children or adults, and this is the most common type of cancerous adrenal tumor, not the benign one. Benign one is the adenoma, but this is the most common cancerous adrenal tumor. These can be functional and non-functional, but mostly these are non-functional. Because these are cancerous, that's why they will invade renal vein, inferior vena cava, and also metastasize to the other organs. Then the tumors of adrenal medulla, neuroblastoma. So neuroblastoma means it is a tumor which is composed of the neuroblast cells. Most common cells of these neuroblasts are neural crest cells, which are responsible for the sympathetic stimulation. And as you all know, sympathetic nervous system is responsible for the fight or the flight response. So in the neuroblastoma there will be fetus. When there is a fetus who is of a fifth week of development, the neural crest cells will when neural crest cells will start migrating along the spine. So these neural crest cells will differentiate into the neurons of the sympathetic chain in the thoracic region of area. So I will repeat, like for example, when the fetus is in fifth week of development, these neural crest cells will start migrating along the spine, and in the thoracic region, these will differentiate into the neurons of the sympathetic channel, right? But in the lumbar region, these will differentiate into the cells of the adrenal medulla. So, neuro blast cells, we can say, or neural crest cells, these will differentiate into the cells of the adrenal medulla. So there may be chances of formation of cancer which may begin in the adrenal medulla. So this is the cancer of immature neuroblastoma cells which begins in the adrenal medulla. Now this is the most common pediatric cancer with a median age at diagnosis of the 2 years. Okay, so most common pediatric cancer is neuroblastoma, and at age of 2 years it is diagnosed. Now pheochromocytoma, it is it is the tumor which affects the adrenal medulla, and as you all know, adrenal medulla have the chromaffin cells. These chromaffin cells secrete the catecholamines, right? These catecholamines secretes the, means these are the norepinephrine and the epinephrine. So pheochromocytoma affect the cells of the adrenal medulla. It affects the all ages, and only 10% of these are malignant, while the others are the benign, and they produce the large amount of catecholamines, right? Now, what are the risk factors? There are four main important risk factors which increases the risk of the adrenal gland. First one is MEN2, that is multiple endocrine neoplasm type 2 disorder, then Li-Fraumeni syndrome, neurofibromatosis type 1, and the Carney complex. In the MEN2, it is a autosomal dominant disorder, and there is mutation of the gene MEN2. It should not be 1, it should be 1, 2, and this increases the risk of the person for the adrenal tumor. Then Li-Fraumeni syndrome, it is also a very rare disorder. It is autosomal dominant disorder, and there is the mutation of the suppressor gene, which is P53, and it is characterized by the early onset of cancer, wide variety of type of cancer, and also the development of the multiple cancers, right? Then neurofibromatosis, it is also an autosomal disorder. There is a mutation of the gene which is located in the chromosome 17, and this gene encode for the neurofibromin. This neurofibromin, what is its function? It will do the cell signaling. What is cell signaling? Cell signaling means that the cell's activities, like basic activities, are coordinated by this cell signaling. This neurofibromin fibromin will regulate the basic activities of cells, like when to divide, when to develop, when to repair. So because of this neurofibromin mutation, there will not be proper cell signaling and leading to the cancer risk. Then Carney complex, it is autosomal dominant condition. There is mutation of the gene which is known as PRKAR1A gene on the chromosome 17, and there is the myxoma of heart, skin, hyperpigmentation of the skin, and the overactivity of the endocrine gland. Because there is the overactivity of the endocrine gland, so person may have increased chance of having the adrenal tumors. And what is myxoma? Myxoma, these are the tumors of the connective tissue, and they have a myxoid background. Myxoid means there is a secretion of this mucoid substance, clear mucoid substance, right? So we discussed the risk factors. There are four important risk factors. These are the different conditions, like MEN2, then Carney complex, then Li-Fraumeni, and the neurofibromatosis type 1. So all these risk factor increases the chance of person having the adrenal tumors. Now sign and symptoms. So the sign and symptoms definitely will depend upon whether the person is having functional or non-functional adrenal tumor, and whether it is cortical or it is medullary in nature, right? But most commonly, those who are having the adrenal tumor, they mainly suffer from hypertension, hypokalemia, heart palpitations, nervousness, feelings of anxiety, panic attacks, headache, excessive precipitation, diabetes, abdominal pain, unexplained weight gain and the weight loss, weakness, abdominal stretch marks, excessive hair growth, changes in the genital area, unusual acne, and the change in the libido. Now, if the person is having pheochromocytoma, the person may have increased levels of norepinephrine and the epinephrine, so the blood pressure will rise very quickly, and this may increase the risk of the person having the like heart attack, stroke, hemorrhage, and the sudden death. So now, how to diagnose these adrenal tumors? Obviously, history and physical examination are the foremost one, in which family history is important. Then in the blood test, we will check for the hormone levels, sodium potassium levels, metanephrines. These are the metabolites of the norepinephrine and the epinephrines, and these will definitely will increase in the blood levels. And 24-hour urine sample also assesses the catecholamines and the metanephrines. The CT and MRI will evaluate what is the tumor size, and what is the location, and what should be the management, whether it should be a surgery, radiotherapy, or the chemotherapy. Then biopsy. Now the management consists of surgery, chemotherapy, and the radiotherapy. So there is In the surgery, we will be removal of the adrenal gland. As you all know, adrenalectomy will be done. It can be unilateral, only one of the adrenal gland will be removed, or the bilateral, both adrenal glands can be removed. So it can be performed via laparoscopy or the laparotomy. So in the laparoscopy, if the tumor is less than 5 centimeter, it is non-cancerous, we will perform the laparoscopic adrenalectomy. If the tumor is possibly cancerous and it is larger than 5 centimeter, so we can perform the laparotomy. Now if the person has undergone adrenalectomy, there may be reduction or less amount of hormones levels which are secreted by the adrenal gland. So we have to replace these hormones and to perform the hormone replacement therapy. For example, if the person has undergone unilateral adrenalectomy, so glucocorticoids may be required for up to 2 years, and if it is bilateral, then the person may have to take person have to take mineralocorticoids and the glucocorticoids for the whole lifetime, right? Next one is chemotherapy. This is the drug mitotrane. It is most commonly used to treat the cancer of the adrenal cortex. And in the management portion, I have discussed the important points only, like the unilateral and the bilateral adrenalectomy, whether it should be performed laparoscopically or the laparotomy. And in the chemotherapy, there is the mitotrane drug, which is most commonly used. Hormone replacement therapy is very essential for these patients. And so in today's session, we discussed that adrenal tumors are the benign and the malignant neoplasm of the adrenal gland. They can be tumors of the adrenal cortex and the medulla. Sign and symptoms depends upon the type and also whether they are functional or the non-functional. The CT, MRI, biopsy will help in establishing the diagnosis of the adrenal tumors, and most common treatment is chemotherapy. Surgical management include the adrenalectomy. So this is all for today's session. Thank you so much.